there goes the sun. A perfect week will give way to rain tonight and snow tomorrow.
Denver's unceasing development proves that while it may be hard to put a price on art, it's not as difficult to put a price on the building that houses it.
At the end of the day, nobody cared. So we had to move on.
And an issue within the treasurer's office leaves a woman unable to cash in.
I kept waiting for the other checks to be cashed, and they weren't.
Fall spring is over, friends. Temperatures are dropping and snow is close behind. Good evening. Glad you're with us tonight. I'm Shannon Ogden.
I'm Ann Trujillo. This storm won't be anything to write home about, but it might keep you home all the same. Meteorologist Stacey Donaldson's tracking it all for us. And Stacey, we're talking rain this evening.
We are, and it looks like it'll start later on tonight before those temperatures drop cold enough to create snow by tomorrow morning. So for the rest of this evening, we'll be in the 50s with cloudy skies, and then those showers starting up around 10 p.m. and after. And it's as this cold front and low pressure area are moving toward Colorado. So we already have some rain and snow showing up through the western half of our state, a mix of rain and snow depending on where you are. Here for the Front Range, it'll be a few more hours before we see that happen. Now, we have had a winter weather advisory issued for northeastern Colorado all the way back toward Fort Collins. Overall, about 3 to 5 inches of snow from tonight into tomorrow afternoon. Out west, though, these winter weather advisories last until Sunday morning. Also a winter storm warning for 8 to 19 inches of snow down into southern Colorado. In the meantime, this winter weather advisory in effect here to our north. Here's Denver, and it stretches all the way up into the northeastern part of our state. Our forecast tonight, though, rain changing over to snow, temperatures in the mid-30s, much colder air for tomorrow with snowfall. And if you like that, it'll be even colder on Sunday. We'll talk more about snowfall totals and what you can expect coming up.
All right, thanks, Stace. We'll see you in a little bit. Well, First Fridays in the Santa Fe Arts District are a lot of fun, but they're also a little bit deceiving.
And while it can seem like businesses are thriving, many are actually struggling to stay afloat. A Chicano Arts Center called the neighborhood home for 40 years. Well, today, the people running it told Denver 7's Ivan Rodriguez they've been priced out. Ivan?
The Chicano Humanities and Arts Council, or CHOC, isn't a part of this art district anymore, but part of their history here began back in 2010. That's when the group was offered to purchase the property that they were renting for $500,000. Now, the group didn't have all the money to pay for the property up front, so they revisited the idea in 2018. But by then, the property cost shot up to $1.5 million, forcing them to move again and again.
It's been difficult for us. We had to move just because of the fact we were priced out.
Lucille Rivera was the executive director of CHOC in 2018. Priced out of their first location, she decided to move 6 blocks down near the corner of 2nd and Santa Fe.
It was a very nice building, but we had to do a lot of work.
The group invested money into the building and it was just beginning to settle in. Then the next curveball. The pandemic made their $4,000 rent hard to swallow.
Without an ability to make any money, how can you sustain that?
They began conversations with their landlord, who wouldn't decrease rent. Eventually, they had no choice but to close their doors and move again.
That was the only way the organization was going to survive. Because the money we had in the bank, if we were continuing to pay $4,000 a month rent to an empty building.
An art center filled with Chicano art, celebrating Denver's rich history, no longer had a home.
We did get some relief funding. We started doing virtual programming. And then eventually we started partnering with other organizations. And that's what's kept us alive.
Months later, they opened up in small art galleries like this one in North Glen and just recently signed a new lease for a building in Lakewood's Art District, their former home, a shadow of what it once was.
I think they're trying to make everything all new and hip and, putting in condos and apartments everywhere and pricing out these small little arts organizations, when the art organization is what made it cool to begin with.
Some art galleries still on Santa Fe agree.
That's happened to about probably 9 or 10 galleries down here.
Richard Dawson lost his neighbor across the street. It was a similar story.
Alan was over there with Artwork Network, and the guy eventually raised his rent up to $15,000 a month, and his lease was coming due again, and when it came due, Alan found out that the guy wanted another $5,000 a month for it, so it's going to be up to $20,000 a month.
Although the art district has changed, forcing many longtime residents to move, there's still hope some art presence will live on.
As long as they don't keep scraping us and turning us into big condo complexes and apartment complexes, we'll be here.
Chalk tells me it plans to move into its new building in Lakewood in April and then potentially open up to the public with its first gallery in June. Live on Santa Fe, Ivan Rodriguez, Denver 7.
Ivan, thank you for that. And this is neither the first nor will it be the last report on the plight of the Santa Fe Arts District. As recently as October, we spoke with multiple business owners who told us the First Friday event only goes so far. Now, one kept count of how many construction cranes were on the street at any given time. That same person you heard tell Ivan he was worried about studios being replaced by condos told us he viewed new apartment complexes as new business. Well, multiple people told us they'd like another spot capable of bringing in a lunch crowd.
More than 1 million people have now fled Ukraine. The Washington Post reports that food and medicine are running low in cities under siege. Well, this week I spoke with a Colorado man who has made his home in Ukraine for the last 4 years. For now, he isn't leaving, but he tells me right now there is nothing easy about living in Ukraine.
People here are in hell right now, and there is no shortage of needs. And so even being here in Ukraine, we feel powerless to really stop this situation. The thing I keep thinking about is just how many people are dealing with just impossible choices that they have to make.
And we'll have more of my conversation with Joe and his wife Dasha tonight on Denver 7 News at 10. That talk includes how a man from Bayfield, Colorado ended up living in Ukraine.
Colorado Democrats announced today they will seek to enshrine abortion protections into law. The bill declares that every individual has a right to sue or refuse contraception, and that every pregnant woman has the right to either continue the pregnancy or to have an abortion. The proposal's introduction comes as the U.S. Supreme Court considers and appears ready to uphold a Mississippi law that bans abortion after 15 weeks.
Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser says 17 criminal cases have been brought against people for committing unemployment fraud, and those cases account for more than $300,000 in losses. More cases are expected to be filed in the coming months.
Adams County commissioners have been in a holding pattern with the county treasurer for months now. Now, commissioners have openly wondered if the treasurer is incompetent, and people who trust the treasurer to handle their affairs are coming around to that line of thinking. Here's Denver 7's Bayan Wang.
We own multiple properties in Adams County.
Those properties have been passed down for 3 generations in Nancy Chancho's family. Managing them was never an issue until April of last year.
I sent in 5 different checks for property taxes for 5 different properties. 1 or 2 of them were cashed, and then the others were not.
For months, she would try contacting the Adams County Treasurer's office where the money was sent for processing.
Nobody would answer the phone at the Adams County Treasurer's office, so I would leave messages. Never heard back.
Adding insult to injury,
I noticed that they had added interest and that they marked my accounts delinquent because they had lost my checks, and so they figured I hadn't paid when actually I had paid.
Unfortunately, Chancho wasn't the only one dealing with the same issues at the treasurer's office.
We have had dozens of similar complaints.
Jim Seidlecki is the Adams County deputy manager. He says those kind of complaints contributed to a lawsuit the county filed in October against County Treasurer Lisa Culpepper, alleging she hadn't balanced the county's checkbook since March of 2020. Overdue for more than a year.
There's $215 million that's not properly accounted for.
And because of that, Seidlecki says the state may cut off $2 million in grants from Adams County in the next 12 months. Federal grants may also be in trouble.
We actually are in jeopardy now of the reporting to the state, the reporting to the federal government for grant funding, not alleging any malfeasance, just inaccurate and poor bookkeeping.
And that might be why people like Chancho had to go through a roller coaster before their property taxes settled.
My name is Bayan Wang. I'm a reporter for Denver 7 News.
Denver 7 spoke with Culpepper Friday, but was referred to her attorney, who said in part, the treasurer states that she shares the concerns of the taxpayers of Adams County regarding efficient processing of tax payments and record keeping, and has been fighting for greater resources. Adams County Board of County Commissioners has withheld these resources over the past several years. Regardless, Chancho says she's delivering her property taxes to the treasurer in person come this April. Bayan Wang, Denver 7.
Well, the Denver DMV is finally caught up on paperwork. Branches closed for 3 days in February, so employees could work through thousands of title and registration forms. And the DMV thought it might have to close again today, but finished the job early and remained open.
A homeless community has settled in near several Denver businesses. We wouldn't expect a welcome wagon.
We've contacted numerous people and nobody's doing anything.
As we head through the rest of tonight, things will really start to change. We'll see rain showing up later on, and that will change over to snow going into our weekend. I'll have all the details on snowfall totals and what you can expect this weekend coming up.
Serves Up. A Denver chef puts his skills to the test on national television.
I have to remember like this many recipes right now before I go on this competition. Otherwise, I'm going to be the one running around like, how do you even make a cake right now?